So his name is Tobin Bolter, and he's
27.
27 years old.
Yeah.
So he fled the rat race in California to become a deputy sheriff in Ada County, at the Ada County Sheriff's Office, from what I understand. And what I want to talk to you, John, about is and get your reaction to is that somebody saw this young deputy did a traffic stop, and some kind of struggle ensued, and he was shot. And somebody saw that happen, and they called 911. The person fled. The suspect fled. I don't. Where did that call come into John? Though that's where you come in. So what would normally happen there?
Well, I just want to back up to say this. It all started as a traffic stop, which is the most routine thing that we do. Like I'll handle 60 traffic stops a night, and it'll be driving me insane because it's just it's very it's mindless work and it's busy work. But this is the most common thing that a law enforcement officer will do. And I say that because I want to remind police officers, because you can't remind them enough that it doesn't matter how routine the thing is that you're doing, could be the last thing that you do. A Deputy Tobin gets out of the car. The occupant of the vehicle, a 65-year-old guy with a misdemeanor warrant, which sounds like criminal justice talk of some kind of big deal. Having a misdemeanor warrant is nothing in terms of like what it meant for him in terms of his ramifications. This was not a do or die moment for the guy in the car. This was pay $165 and be issued a court date, skip out on your court date, and then have another warrant issued for you. Like, that's literally how it probably would have played out for the guy. Deputy Tobin Bolter was shot. The suspect fled the scene. And then the amazing and terrible part is that I don't know if Deputy Bolter got out on his radio that he had been shot, or if dispatch is checking his status, usually every 3 or 5 minutes or whatever it is. A dispatcher will call Deputy Bolter on the radio. It's like, hey, are you okay? Just to make sure he's okay. And they'll say, I'm fine, with the 10-4 on the radio. So depending on how fast this happened, dispatch may never have heard from Deputy Bolter that he was shot, particularly if it was an immediate life-ending type injury, which I suspect that it might have been. It immediately makes you almost want to throw up. You're almost sick because it's like you're just finding out that you're losing this fight. And so you have got to commit everything within yourself, your mind, and you have to put aside your feelings. You have to get other resources going. Means the cavalry, anyone that will go, you're going to tone this out for any unit position. Anybody that's close by, anybody that's off duty, you'll hope that they'll hear it. Anybody will go. But now you're also hearing that this guy is down, and you're having to give instructions over the phone for life-saving measures, meaning CPR. Giving CPR instructions over the phone is one of the hardest things to do because you have no idea. There's context that you're always missing from not being there. I've given CPR instructions to someone and they told me that they were on the floor, and then I find out later the person was on a mattress the whole time, which meant every compression that we gave was pointless. It's always difficult, and you don't know if they're a trained rescuer, and you don't know what the trauma is like, how bad it is. There's very little that you can do with CPR and gross trauma like a gunshot wound. But so it didn't work. But I want to say this about the person who pulled over and called and tried to help. So often I will take calls from people who feel like heroes because they will go by a situation and dial 911. And to them, it's the highlight of their day. And they'll go home and tell their family, like, hey, I saw this weird thing. I saw 3 trash bags on the ground and I thought it was a person. So I called 911 instead of stopping to help. And I'm not imploring the public to assume the risk of intervening into situations that call for police. I'm not telling people to do that. I'm not saying I expect the common person to go out there and put themselves at risk. That's kind of what makes police special, is that we do that. But this person pulled over and saw this happening and got involved. And it just means a lot to me because of how often the common person will dial 911 and say, they will literally tell me the reason why they don't get out of the car and handle it themselves, because it's almost unspoken that, why aren't you more involved?
Deputy Tobin Bolter gave his life in service to his community, and God rest his soul. And I feel horrible. This kid's got a great smile. Obviously he was loved by probably everybody around him, and this is just a tragedy. You know what else is often overlooked in these situations, though, is the person that takes the 911 call. The tension that is built in the communication center, and I don't know that this happened, but I suspect that it happened. Like they're trying to raise him on the radio and he's not answering, or just a peep came up on, and they saw on their screen that it was him that clicked his mic and that they can't raise him. Then all of a sudden they get this 911 call like, hey, one of your deputies is shot. And just that the flush feeling that goes from your face, and you're now given pre-arrival 911 instructions to somebody to help save one of your fellow employees' lives, like a deputy sheriff's life. So unspoken is the trauma that 911 dispatcher feels, that radio dispatcher feels.
So prayers to that sheriff, but also just wanted to say also to Deputy Tobin Bolter, thank you for your service, your 7 years of law enforcement. The life terribly cut short, a third of a life, a quarter of a life. You deserved a lot more. You deserved a lot better. Thank you for being willing to go out there and put your life on the line to protect the community, the people out there in Idaho. Praying for your family. That's a loss that they'll never get over. You matter, so your absence matters, and your death is going to be something that hurts people for the rest of their lives, and they're going to honor you with their grief. And we implore the community not to forget you in an oncoming and never stopping wave of police officers struck down, murdered in the line of duty. I was just talking about those two out in Syracuse, New York. We don't want your name to be lost in the sea of that there's always one more wave washing up on the beach with another name and a badge that's been taken away from us. But we want to remember you. And we're sorry that there's more coming that are going to take that attention. But thank you for your sacrifice, for what you've done for the people of Idaho. And we're going to do our best to honor you just by what we do here. And to those dispatchers, finally, nobody understands what you went through. Even I don't get it. But I'm willing to admit that I don't understand, and that you're feeling something that you're going to be dealing with for a long time. And I hope that you find somebody that can help you deal with that, whoever that is. And I hope you find some kind of peace to come out of this. And just thank you for what you did to try to save that situation.